Oh, and solar system is all one unit that functions as one unit. Like the way things move in physics even supports that. Like a thing like the orbit of planets around the sun. That is a harmony that was achieved. That's achieved. That's in relation to the other mass constituents. But that forms a like a physical. It has a physical imposition. Well, for like power, one way or the other. It because the things exist around each other and are doing that. It is the result of imposition. So, like it functions like a body, all to protect the Earth in the Goldilocks zone. The lights in Phoenix. When I first got here, it amazed me because I could see like what is like the luminous core outside of like you'd see the corona as a sphere around each light. I don't know if it was the type of street lights, but it was like you could see like an inner brightness around a street light at night, and then around that a lesser luminance, but in a perfect sphere. Like that's how the solar system works. So you could think of like Venus is this flammable gas liquid, and Mars, my very educated mother. So Venus takes like anything that's going to it like absorbs the flammable shock of solar rays, or like sunspots. It takes that blunt for the Earth, and if it were to ever happen, it's like rubbing together in that friction creates static electricity on as we know it, like that something like the discharge of static electricity or buildup from like a turbining all the motion of the planets. One, it follows the same left-right ratio, like 1 to 9 or 1 to 8. The right-handed, left-handed in primates, in human primates, there is only one planet equalizes all the motion of the other planets. Neptune has an inverse planet, has an inverse orbit. Everyone else is like on the celestial equator. That one runs converse to it. So like that, it follows that same. It takes 9. It's like strategy is 9 times more important than brute strength. If you outwit your opponent, you can beat them in like think of a battle or a war throughout history. A much smaller force if tactically utilized with cunning. Like a guy, uh, there was a Civil War general, like a Forrest, that like maximized strength with great strategy. Is what I was gonna say. So like the planets though, Venus is there in case that the sun has like a sunspot. It would be not only like let's say, but what if they're not next to each other? It's not like a bullet. It's not like a bullet coming at the Earth. That otherwise Venus is there to blow up instead of. If there is a like a sunspot or a solar action that happens, Venus attracts it. That would be something that would be like a match in a to a flammable, you know, drum of liquid. But if that drum of liquid that's flammable is flammable as a mist or a evaporated concentrated volume of gas, that's what it acts as. That's what Venus acts as. Mars is on the other side and takes anything that would be like the bullet. Mars is just this dead rock that takes the bullet. Like either way, if there's one, it has to get through layers of like planetary. So it's got to go through the huge pressurized celestial, astronomically pressurizing effect of Jupiter, which is a huge gas planet, which is like taking a huge snow globe and filling half of it with like, or like 2/5 of it with a gas that is lighter, so it can, like, if you turn it upside, it's going to be this thing that is keeping the other stuff mostly together. Shout out to the Rising Phoenix. This is Phoenix, Arizona. Anyways, let us rise because we are in the dumps. Anyways, well, financially, aren't we all though? So Mars, the whole solar system functions as a very an estate. Think of an estate that, like, a cunning landscape engineering has made fortified with anything that might come at it. So, like, how is Saturday called Saturn if they didn't know about Saturn's rings? When the week is established as 7 days, Saturn is the seventh day, the Sabbath. So, like, when did those names come into effect? Woden and Wednesday, Thor and Thursday, Freda and Friday. The November's the 9th month, October's the 10th month, but it's called October, which is the 8th, and 9 is November, and Deca is December, which is the 12th month. And everything is wrong and silly, and it does support my theory that February is either the end or the beginning of the old New Year, because it has 28 days to hold that knowledge. January might be January, like the new Christian naming of a thing. Hold on, there's more. So, like, an asteroid, there's an asteroid belt, which is like a moat. If you're fearing asteroids coming at you, that thing is like a moat, which protects the Earth. Anything coming intergalactically from the outside the solar system, that thing is there. You can't be coming at the Earth at such a speed. If you're coming, like, you'd have to go the speed of light, and even then, you're not getting there, like, immediately. So, like, it's not going to be at the same trajectory. The asteroids absorb the initial shock. Asteroid belt pushes it off into Saturn, which also has rings, belts, which kind of, like, catch fragments, ballistic fragments of asteroid, which is all otherwise free flowing, or like now has free shot at the Earth. It's like either the physics made that, and it just happens to be coincidentally absolutely optimal, right? If you have, like, what else? No reason. If it was, it's like nature forms function. Form makes form after function. Form follows function. It has to be that, like, the way the planets are arranged. That's just the Milky Way galaxy is the only one within the size of a galaxy. That's how far away all galaxies are from each other. So, like, anything, there is no just free flowing particles in, like, deep space. Outer space in the solar system and outer space in deep space, that is two different qualities as well. Inside the composite, how far does the sun's gravity have binding effect? Well, how far out is Pluto? Because that's why. Like, if it was any farther, that's where Pluto would be. Like, if it's close enough to something to be as big as, if it's anything less than Pluto, it's being attracted to Pluto on Pluto's orbit. If it's more, then it sinks in towards the sun, or it's dispersed. Only rock mineral can withstand the heat to have physical solid property. That is what. So Mercury, Mercury was the original other half of the sun. It's just the fragment of rock that's left, but it's like a mole that holds, like, a very genetically pertinent. So it's like it carries the virus uh, predisposition among a genome, which will eventually, before it has outlasted its utility, it will lose its utility to the genome. So it keeps in a mole. Like that was like first all biological mechanisms started out as virus. That's the primer of the engine. That just means that the chemistry can flow. Like once it can harness, but chemistry is determined by the temperature and the pressure and the environment on like a local level, and like how local is local. So like there's town, city, swamp, lake ecology, and then there's farms in that same county. There might be mountains in that same state of the same county. So I mean, and then there's North America, South America. There's South, like the southern coast of America, which has its own meteorology. But these things they all work in harmony. Like actually, meteorology is something that it's still in process. Meteorology. So like it's forming the land as we know it later, which deposits. So like if you're in the Midwest, it's hard to say that you ever waste water. Nothing is ever lost to process, and environments have a way like materials or substances find a way of depositing themselves. So it's like it can't not function that way, given the constituents of everything around it. It's like, what the hell got me onto that? Hold on. Form following function. Saturn is there. It's catching ballistics. Wasting water. It's because like meteorology deposits there. So you're racking up a water bill if you're worried about that. But if water's so cheap, like, and if like it's a place where like you're right on the brink, it might behoove you to waste water because ultimately it's just going into the river. I mean, not the river, but the local lakes. And it's like, but if there's water shortages, you might just want to keep the water running all the time and fill up all you can with it, even if it's just going down the drain. But that's going into like the block amount of water, because only then it's precious. But otherwise, it's just depositing that water, so long as it's going into a river or stream. Like meteorology, like precipitation is what would determine those things, but it doesn't mean you just go waste water. But it is like impossible to waste water in Illinois. If you spill it on the ground, even on the hot blacktop, that drop of water, it's like a square inch, a cubic inch of water vapor compacted in, going into the local atmosphere, which is so filled with water. To be out of it, and you don't even realize how important your histamine is. Your sinuses. Your sinus is like your whole functioning. Your sinus is like this 5-bag thing. It's got like 5 bags that it's keeping a pressure on to make sure your ears have a pressure, your eyes have a pressure, your chest has a pressure, your back throat and your side throats have a different pressure. And those go through, like, and you're like, your esophagus is like, your vocal cords are like hot dog skins, cylinders of skins on top of each other. When you have like, it's oral tissue of your cheeks inside your mouth. When you you hawk a loogie is like laying along the hot dog skin on the inside. So like it'll be there just one depth, but not another. So you have to clear. I've learned a bit how to sing since being homeless, and you gotta but also consulted with the Method Man because they conned me out of my Adderall prescription that was fine for 15 years without incident. Come to Phoenix and they fucked me off for that. So I consulted with the Method Man, which is only destroyed my emotional state. And plus they taunt me and treat me like shit. Like on Adderall, this kind of situation. Well, one gets himself out of it. I only started having sex out here once I got started on the Method Man. That's because Adderall had me regimented way better. I was so much better. I was like an adult without a job and a living, but like still like I have a goal throughout the day that I'm trying to do. Not having anything to do, that's the worst thing about being homeless. Can't bring this fucking circus into a job. It doesn't work. Every other job, it doesn't work, and it doesn't. They have to like brief everybody, and if you but like they turn your coworkers against you before you've even met them. Like it's so fucking awful. But that's what the Holy Library promises. The spreading of his wings shall cover the whole breadth of thy land, Emmanuel. Don't worry. I trust the surveillance system. I gave them x cubed minus x minus 1 parentheses cubed will always elicit a chain, either a 1 prime number or what I termed super primes, which are like their only factors are prime numbers. There's a physical property to that, but it's like based on as though nature sees the value of a cube, though it doesn't exist in nature, but cube as a conceptual tool to its prime mover, the monkey. Like the cube, what you're left with in the prime number generator, I called it, that very eloquent formula, which I thought up while thinking of Ezekiel's altar. And I texted myself in Planet Fitness. Like the same thing. I was giving that to the government. I emailed it out to a bunch of colleges. No one got it. Or they didn't come they might have sent Bill Gates, but that was because of the pretzel, which I think I broke their internet. I opened up I made the white light of the internet in my computer spontaneously have to bend itself to let the it was a definite distinctive series of things that I did that I could probably still do, but they would just know. It created a finite chronologic threshold, which let the head of the snake in, and but exposed the fishes to the scales of Leviathan. At least that's how I saw it. And it's only gotten more intense than the constant surveillance, but that's what's called for. Eventually, you shall look upon not he that smites you, as I battle these things all the time and yell at the cars all the time, because it's more personal than you think. You shall look upon the Lord in truth. But the first guy always takes it in the fucking teeth. That's Jesus. So, I'm the first run of the second advent. There was always a front runner. John the Baptist ends up betraying Jesus. He's the one that writes the Gospel of John. And he says that at the end. He's John. John doesn't die in the Gospel of John. John the Baptist doesn't die. He as Judas testified, and this is the man that testifies of these things. The very last words of the Gospels. The last word of the whole Bible might be for the whole Bible and not for the book of Revelation. Not for the Revelation of St. John, which might not be called a book. I'd have to go check that. I was just talking about that earlier to the wind. All the wind listens. And the birds? Well, the birds are just there you got anything to eat? The birds are a lofty construct. Go figure, these lofty fucking birds. Anyways, okay. So the solar system functions by a perfect design. A perfect divine design. But it's like you can imagine if humans ever go intergalactic, like Star Trek promises we ought. But capitalism will not let, because you inevitably get the global capitalism where it's like they sell you. They now are the only makers that are allowed to, or it's feasible in any way to produce the shit product that they're going to make like shit. So you have to buy it every other month. It's like it's not in their interest to ever sell you something, no matter how much you pay for it. The iPhone proves that doesn't matter how well you make it. It doesn't matter if you make it like shit. The rich will just see status in it, or those who can afford it, or those who can't afford it will see status to attain in it, and buy a piece of shit that comes out every other year that's really expensive. The more you spend for something, used to be like with electronics, especially when I was growing up, it was still my old man's generation, and if you don't buy electronics cheap, because If it's otherwise, you're going to get a piece of shit. Like, why would you ever spend money if you can just like buy? If you know how to like do your own internet security, if like you know anything about that, so like just buy that package. You could have a piece of shit and it's like untamperable. It's in the software, not the hardware. But like, all I know about encryption is that it's based on prime numbers. So I thought that was a pretty important thing that I slipped to the government there. Just like I looked at the cameras and texted myself this. Like, did you see that? Did you notice that? I was thinking of like trying to find like something with Ezekiel, and then I started thinking of like trying to make a Fibonacci, just like playing with the numbers, make a Fibonacci. See because Ezekiel ultimately, when he's giving you like the water flowing out from the center of the temple, it's not to 3 o'clock anymore. The east, it's towards 5 o'clock, and you're working. You gotta like it gives you like all the mathematics so you could like figure out the hypotenuse of a thing, which is always like it comes down